We got a closer and more personal look at Great Smoky Mountains National Park today, on 2 hikes to 2 waterfalls, and the wet spring weather destroyed an iPhone. Oh, the humanity. The rainy night became a rainy morning at Cataloochee campground. Masio and I put up the rain fly on our new tent and got ready for breakfast. My blood sugar was high because I screwed up my insulin dose at dinner last night, but how can you feel bad in a place like this? Water was gathering in a puddle on that rain fly, but it worked. It kept us dry. After breakfast, Masio took this photo of my feet with her iPhone, and I hope you enjoy it, because after this she stood up, some water drained off the edge of the rain fly, and doused her phone. We didn't know it at the time, but this would turn out to be the very last photo it would ever take. What an epitaph. We packed up the car and got back on the tiny gravel roads in the northeastern part of Great Smoky Mountains National Park. At this tiny wooden bridge crossing Cataloochee Creek, Masio asked me to stop the car for photos. My phone worked, but hers, well, she couldn't get it to unlock. The screen was half dead and unresponsive. We hoped, even assumed, it would get better soon. This road, by the way, is called the Old Cataloochee Turnpike. Maybe that's a joke name, but that's what it's called. Super windy and, on this morning, feeling very, very far away from civilization. Each bend offered a new surprise, either more of the same or maybe a sudden amazing photo opportunity. After several miles of that, we found some civilization, the parking area that began our hike. It was along Big Creek Trail to go see Mouse Creek Falls. The wide trail follows Big Creek, and everything was bursting with dense, rich growth. The rain at first was drizzle, and then it stopped altogether. There were virtually no other people around. It took us a while to get to the waterfall because everything here is so distracting. At one point, I realized I'd forgotten to eat part of my breakfast and my blood sugar was low, so I had some glucose and we hiked on. Oops. Always carry glucose. Eventually, after 2 miles, there it was, Mouse Creek Falls. Mouse Creek is a small tributary of Big Creek and forms this nice waterfall when they join. Back at the parking area, it was lunchtime. We had our usual picnic food at a thick rain-soaked wooden table, listening to the nearby waters of Big Creek. A perfect meal. We soon crossed the state line from North Carolina to Tennessee, which means we're now heading west again and will be all the way to California. And they didn't even bother to put up a sign at the state line, but this is it. Not even a welcome to Tennessee sign afterward. As a guy born in Tennessee, I was offended. Some welcome to my original home state. The town of Gatlinburg is way more touristy and full of people than the obscure corners of the park we'd just been in. What a contrast. But I guess that's why you travel. Contrasts. We stopped at Sugarlands Visitor Center to get directions to our next hike, which I'd been unable to find on the way. They set us straight and we drove to Trillium Gap Trail, which leads to Grotto Falls. This trail is narrower and today was pretty muddy, but full of great spines of tree roots and jumbles of rocks, and other people, and even some tiny locals. Finally, after a mile and a half, there was Grotto Falls. This waterfall is about the same size as Mouse Creek Falls, but with a bonus. You can walk behind this one. I was getting pelted by wayward droplets of water, but not having learned the lesson of Masayo's phone, I risked my DSLR camera to capture the view from behind the veil of water. Luckily, the camera was okay. The drive from Trillium Gap Trail back out to 441 was mesmerizing. A tiny, well-built road bobbing up and down amidst the shaded hillsides and sunny leaves higher up. Great Smoky Mountains is awesome, whether you're on foot or in a car. Unfortunately, you don't have much choice for roads, and the polar opposite is unavoidable. Just outside the park, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, is an explosion of tacky and large-scale tourist stuff. Not my scene at all. So we kept going to Sevierville in our hotel for the night. We had another of our healthy dinners and took a closer look at Masayo's phone. It hadn't gotten much better. This was unacceptable. But from our hotel window, we could look back towards the mountains we'd just experienced for one last goodbye to the east as we continue away from the Atlantic coast and back to the Pacific. Tomorrow we find a new phone for Masayo in Knoxville, avoid the interstates as usual, and wind through some awesome farmlands to end up in another state, Kentucky, and a strange little roadside inn in a small town.